This video is brought to you by Extra. Go to metkevin.com/extra to learn more. Hey everyone, me Kevin here. In this video, we're going to talk about a bullish inflection point for what's happening inside of Tesla and Facebook, but most of this video is going to be about Tesla. However, the insight affects both of these companies. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about cops buying Tesla, some Hertz updates, among others. So let's get into some of these updates and then talk about that bullish inflection point. So first, Bloomberg just reported that New York City Police Department, NYPD, is considering the purchase of up to 250 Model 3s. This is helping Tesla go trending right now on Twitter. They'd pay about $51,940 for each vehicle, making the deal valued at $12.4 million if the contract ends up going through. For context, NYPD is the largest police department in the United States, has a fleet of about 9,000 vehicles. So this Tesla purchase would just account for less than 3% of their fleet. I imagine these have to get retrofitted. Obviously, they're going to have to get retrofitted, and then I expect that the police department would evaluate which of the cars are more reliable. Is it possible to operate these Model 3s on enough of a charge? Is it possible to charge and either have charging stations at the police station or elsewhere throughout the city that officers could now use, and would that at any point hinder them from being able to respond to situations? I expect not. I expect it would be okay. There's plenty of downtime and report writing time as an officer, but this is an interesting inflection point for Tesla. It's not the big one that we want to talk about regarding the stock, but very, very cool. Now, one of the reasons police departments have been looking at Teslas is that they have such high reliability and little maintenance. And that's one of the big aspects of law enforcement companies starting to look at these, because then if you don't have to bring a car in for maintenance or repair as frequently, well, then you have less overall downtime for the vehicle. You also have a lot lower brake wear, which is also important in law enforcement. There's a lot of driving around compared to other electric or other non-electric vehicles. So these are some things that could really help police departments. Now, the way so far these police departments are retrofitting them is they take them to a third party that make all of the police accessories, the light bars, the laptop stands, and that. And then what the police departments are doing is they're keeping track of their per mile savings once they factor in the additional costs of modifications per vehicle, but also the lifetime savings that they're experiencing compared to other cars that they're buying. So great test for law enforcement. I could only imagine if a police department started saying, that's it, our savings conclusions have come out and the EVs are just as effective. We can charge them in downtimes, and there are plenty of those. And we never run out of electricity, or rarely do, and we have lower maintenance. Let's go all in. It'd be a big moment for Tesla, mostly because it's such an endorsement for the consumer. Law enforcement companies are buying them for their reliability, and rental car companies are buying them for their reliability. I mean, that is a huge signal to consumers. But we're not expecting any lack of demand for Teslas at the moment. You look at the Model X Plaid, you're waiting until 2023 for one of these. The S and Y, well, you could get the Model S Plaid actually in about a month, but most of the vehicles you're going to be waiting for an average of about 3 to 6 months right now if you bought a Tesla, whether that's a Model 3 or Model Y. Now, Tesla has also been filing some lawsuits in China, which is interesting. Within the last 6 months, Tesla has filed at least 2 defamation claims against Chinese citizens who spoke negatively about Tesla and the quality of Teslas. But before we hit on that, we've got to get a quick note in from our sponsor. Getting into real estate is the best way to build your wealth, but getting into real estate requires having a great credit score, and you gotta stay out of consumer debt. For those of you who are young or may have run into some trouble in the past, unfortunately, there are so few ways to actually raise your credit score other than getting a credit card, which oftentimes, if you mess up on even just once, ends up ruining your credit score even more, which hurts your ability to build wealth. And that's where, fortunately, Extra. And now back to those Chinese Tesla lawsuits and that defamation from Chinese citizens. Tesla says these claims are groundless. One lawsuit against a Model S owner who has been claiming for the last 2 years that Tesla committed fraud by selling him a used but heavily repaired vehicle and pretended it was new. In this particular lawsuit, Tesla has been called by this person a hooligan company, and now Tesla is countering with a lawsuit for unverified, ungrounded, and defamatory remarks. Tesla is looking for $785,000 US in reasonable expenses. Another defendant is somebody who jumped on top of a Model 3 at the Shanghai Auto Show earlier this year. She was the one complaining about the faulty brakes of her Tesla that allegedly killed her family. That is, the brakes allegedly led to the death of her family. She did not allow Tesla to inspect the Tesla after it crashed, leading Tesla to suspect that it wasn't necessarily the brakes that actually killed her family. Now, she is also getting sued for the same amount, about $785,000. Back in September, a Chinese court did order the Model 3 owner, by the way, to apologize for blaming the accident on faulty Tesla brakes. And then she was required to pay about $7,850. Now Tesla is suing for even more. Now, Bloomberg also reports that in-house lawyers over at Tesla have been threatening social media influencers in China to take down bad publicity and apologize publicly. Tesla's also been in the news for replacing some front-facing autopilot cameras in some cars for free. They haven't issued a recall here, but apparently there are some faulty repeater cameras that are getting replaced at no cost to owners. This news helped Microvision pop a little bit, though Microvision is still substantially down when this news came out. And yeah, Microvision is a LiDAR play, and there's a lot of talk that maybe Tesla should just end up buying Microvision. But anyway, they're still down from this news. They're at $6.05. Cathie Wood is, instead of buying the dip on Tesla, she has reduced her position or exposure to Tesla to about 7.7%. She's now been buying the dip on Xpeng. Yesterday, ARK bought, on Tuesday, ARK bought 97,697 shares of Xpeng, worth somewhere between $4 to $4.5 million. This was done in ARK-Q. That's the autonomous and robotaxi robotics ETF. Obviously, robotaxi would be part of this as well. ARK-Q now holds about $24 million of Xpeng Motors. Xpeng has been on a substantial downtrend. It has not been doing as poorly as NIO, although then again, NIO substantially outperformed Xpeng, leading into the latest Xpeng excitement that we've seen. But we have seen some of that euphoria die down. We saw a lot of this in the EV run here. We saw Xpeng move from about $35 to a high of about $56. It is down to about $43 right now. But if you compare this to NIO, NIO's been, did not really participate much in that October rally. Went from about 35 to about 41, only to come falling back down to where we sit now, about $29 yesterday. And right now we're trading for about $30 even on NIO. Xpeng did deliver more monthly units than NIO or Li Auto in November. Both delivered more than 10,000 units, but Xpeng had 15,613 deliveries. Rivian's also expected to announce that it's building a $5 billion battery and assembly plant near Atlanta today. The plant is projected to employ 7,500 workers with the possibility of scaling up to 10,000 workers. That's about the same size as Gigafactory Nevada. This would also make it one of the largest auto assembly complexes in the United States. The Associated Press is reporting that this will be the largest industrial announcement in Georgia's history. Previously, the largest was 4,400, a 4,400 worker facility about a decade ago. Now, we know that Biden's also Biden's probably not very happy about this, but we know that Elon Musk has been suggesting that the entire Build Back Better plan just be canned. Obviously, a lot of frustration there has been built around the fact that EVs will get a $7,500 federal tax credit, but EVs made with union labor will get an additional credit of up to $12,500, but it's only via unionized work, which Tesla is unfortunately not. So a lot of frustration here. Now, in one additional update, it's worth noting that a Goldman Sachs analyst mentions that Hertz customers have been paying more than $100 a day for Tesla rentals. That's much more than the average of $60 a day for the rest of the fleet, so people are willing to pay a $40 premium per day for Tesla. Remember, Hertz plans to have Tesla be about 1/5 of their entire fleet next year, and the Goldman Sachs analyst figures that Hertz will pay about $42,000 per Tesla vehicle and then sell them 4 years later for about $23,500 each. That's the expected depreciation. That means the monthly depreciation is about $458 for the vehicle per month. This is higher than the average of about $357 in depreciation on a monthly basis. However, Teslas tend to have a longer life and require significantly less maintenance. So who knows, maybe Hertz will keep these vehicles longer. Since who knows, maybe they'll come across as newer longer. We'll see though. Usually car rental companies don't want cars to be older than 3 to 4 years. Now, the inflection point in something that we're noticing, it comes also from another Bloomberg report. Shout out to Bloomberg.com. Bloomberg is reporting that Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg have been selling shares of their company substantially over the last month here. We know that with Elon Musk, potentially because of taxes. He sold about 70% of his shares that he promised to sell, which means he's got another 30% to go. It's possible we might not see the rest of these sales anymore this year. It's possible we might have to wait for January. So we'll still have some selling pressure from Elon next month. But it is worth noting that insiders, that's company executives and officers, have been buying both Facebook and Tesla at record amounts, and the highest amount since March of 2020, according to the Washington service. That is 1,300 executives and officers between Facebook and Tesla have been buying the companies. And this type of buying correctly signaled a bottom in March of 2020 per Bloomberg. Now, this is some indicator of a bullish inflection point for Tesla, brought to us by company insiders. Now, I personally still am aiming at 1,700 vehicle deliveries for Tesla in 2022. I'm not sure if we're going to quite get to 1 million here in 2021. We know that that's a big goal. We'll see how December goes. This is usually when we get the biggest rush for deliveries, right at the end of the year, where people are trying to get their EV tax credits. So in my opinion, that is also bullish, and we're probably seeing that same bullishness coming from company executives and officers, and that's why they're buying the dip, whereas Elon is selling to pay taxes for his option gains, which he could have just borrowed, but obviously he decided to sell shares instead. If we do stay along this course of eventually getting to about 4.8 million vehicles by 2025, we're hoping with an average revenue of about $40K per vehicle, which this might end up being higher, honestly, and a 30% margin. We're seeing, at least I'm seeing, a future price target, a reasonable price target, in my opinion, of around $1987. That is a double, which, given Tesla's current price at about $960, that would give you a 4-year, since the end of 2025 is actually only 4 years away, that would give you almost a 20% compounded annual rate of return investing in Tesla at this point, if these projections hold. Obviously, some of these numbers can change. Like, for example, if we go to $45,000 in revenue per vehicle, but maybe we only do 4 million vehicles, so about 800,000 less than expected, we'd be at about a future value of about 1,862, which is roughly the same. If we just terribly miss and we come in at 3 million in 2025, which would be pretty low, still looking at about a $1,400 target here, which from $960 still works out to about a 10% compounded annual rate of return every year for the next 4 years. Hashtag no guarantees, hashtag not financial advice. But yeah, Tesla's definitely one I've been adding a little bit on the dip on, so I've been excited about that. Anyway, these are some updates and an inflection point for Tesla. Let me know your thoughts about Tesla in the comments down below. Remember to check out Extra and the link to Extra in the description down below, as well as my programs on building your wealth. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.